Welcome back, everyone, and we're here back for game 2 between Rawr, Yordlez, and Glacial Omen. I'm Random Minion Caster, and on the blue side now, we've got Glacial Omen, red side, Rawr, Yordlez. Now we'll quickly go through their picks and bans here. Bans for Glacial Omen: Caitlyn, Oriana, Zac, Trundle, Hecarim. Very similar to game 1. Yordlez also keeping their bans fairly similar. Vladimir, Alawi, Misfortune, Mordekaiser, Irelia. So they did change up the Misfortune and Irelia there. Did not like King Tyrus on that. And definitely don't want to see Naga on that Irelia. Just diving everybody with impunity once again. Now for picks, Glacial Omen changing things up quite a bit here. And they did have some issues with their pro draft. So that is Nautilus, Kaisa, J4. And that's not an Udyr. That's supposed to be a set for the side of Glacial Omens, with Ishan on the Cassiopeia. On the side of Yordlez, that is a Morgana, Galio, Ezreal, Nunu, and that's not meant to be a set for Mr. Sarux. That is a Mundo for Mr. Sarux. So Dr. Mundo for Mr. Sarux. I really like these draft adaptations here from both teams. The taking away of Galio from Ishan. Ishan using it to great effect in the last game here. So just deny it flat out from him, not using it as a ban. Instead, they're going to gift that over to Duero. And the taking... and the Nunu here, I'm not sure if that's how that's necessarily gonna work out for Nowitzki, but they are wanting to just make some sort of change for themselves. The Sejuani not working out, and so they're going with the Nunu instead. Now the other concern I have is that the Dr. Mundo was picked into the set there. That is supposed to be the counter pick, but traditionally set actually does extremely well into Mundo as they scale. The showstopper potentially going to make Mundo a nuclear bomb for his own team. So we'll have to see how that one plays out in these fights here. And Glacial Omen still opting to go with that sort of team fight composition. It's not so much a press R comp now. They still do have the Cataclysm and a lot of CC with the Petrifying Gaze, with the depth charge coming out from the team as well. So they are going to be looking to group and clump as 5, pick those fights, and with the shred coming up from Kaisa and Cassiopeia, they'll be able to take objectives really quickly for themselves. So good solid draft on the side of Glacial Omen. Rawr Yordlez a bit more split on their draft here. Morgana, Ezreal, quite strong in lane. A lot of poke, a lot of pick here. With the Galio on Duero this time, they've got the map pressure, the global pressure. But with Mr. Sarux, with Nowitzki, this isn't a team fight. This isn't a team fight composition by any stretch of the imagination. They don't necessarily want to find team fights to fight in. They have the ability to do it with the Soul Shackles, with the heroic entrance, with the Nunu ultimate as well, the Absolute Zero. They have the option to it, but neither Ezreal nor Mundo really excel in those sort of situations. So we'll have to sort of see how Yordlez plays this one out. I think a lot of it will come down to just winning their lanes, finding picks here, and it's definitely a possibility. We've seen it in game 1. The teams did not group up until about the 20-minute mark here, so definitely a possibility. And now the teams here have loaded onto the Rift. And again, not expecting any level 1 sort of invades or fights here. I'm expecting both teams to just start quite defensively here, watching out for potential invades from the other side. And as I say that, it looks like they might be pinging for an invade on the side of Glacial Omen. They're going to try and prove me wrong here. They do have the Nautilus there for the anchor toss. And Mrs. Sarux going to watch his turret. Interestingly enough, from Yordlez, they're not watching the entrances at all here for their team. Only the bot side with a Winter and Oddlander. Instead, Nowitzki, Duero hugging that mid lane turret. Mr. Sarux going to hug the top side turret. And that allows successful infiltration here from Glacial Omen. They're in there. And they might be looking for a pick, but instead they get spotted out by Nowitzki coming out of the jungle there. The anchor toss will not find a target, and it looks like the invade from the side of Glacial Omen will just net them a couple of deep wards, and they will just back out after they complete their tour of the top right quadrant of the jungle. Both junglers this game opting to start bot side once again here. Very standard start from both junglers, but this time Nowitzki on the Nunu. He's going to have a very, very fast and safe clear as well. Very strong objective control against Chaotic Obsidian. And this Nunu has pretty decent gank path as well, just lacking a bit of damage. But if his lanes bring the damage, he can bring the CC, can do those forceful snowball ganks into lanes. And the Anchor Jaw is going to land onto Outlander there. He does not have Arcane Shift there, only level 1, so we'll have to take a bit of damage there, but it will not be critical, will not be fatal. It's just going to make him have to play a little safer for the next while. Right before that happened, I was just talking about the Nunu ganks. The snowball ganks are going to be effective in all 3 lanes here. No escapes here, and a beautiful black binding from Winter to keep Willowhaven there, so he's going to have to tank up the damage. But right now, it's the ADCs getting damaged here for the side of Rawr compared to the support taking the damage on the side of Glacial Omen, and you never want your ADC to be the one soaking up the damage early. Yeah, without escapes, all 3 lanes for the side of Glacial Omen, very vulnerable to the Nunu. So the Nunu pickup here is going to be strong in lane, and they're going to look for a play here. The flag and drag comes across, does not land. The Anchor Toss misses as well, but it does not matter because Ishan's putting out the damage. Finally, he gets in a position where he can flash to safety, but Obsidian going to follow with his own flash. Now, Obsidian has to be careful as he's getting pincered. Nowitzki's coming for him, but he manages to get first blood, and his team is still there to back him up. Nowitzki's going to have to run away there. He cannot take 3 on, and Winter there to try and back up Rawr as well. And that's going to be first blood going the way of Glacial Omen. Well played from them. Chaotic Obsidian playing really well as a jungler, making these proactive moves in both games 1 and 2 here. And he's not done yet. He already ganked the mid lane. He's now going to revisit it. They know the flash is down here for Duero. The taunt gets interrupted, so it gets popped immediately. Ishan going in, but they have to be careful because behind them is the Nunu and the snowball. And the damage there from that one huge snowball instantly pops Chaotic Obsidian. Naga going to use the teleport to the mid lane, but it's a little... it's too little, too late, and the fight is already over. And so with that, Rawr going to find themselves a kill to equalize the score here. And the lanes themselves were pretty peaceful, but now we do see Nowitzki coming in. He gets a snowball onto Tyrus. The Dark Binding comes out as well, and they're going to be able to lock him down for quite a while. The exhaust onto Willowhaven, but a good Anchor Toss onto the turret will negate the speed, the movement speed slow, and drag himself to safety there. Nowitzki making himself felt around the map this game. Good combo from Duero there. Shan's low on mana, unable to trade back. Going to take quite a burst of damage from the Galio, from a melee golem there. He actually packs quite a bit of magical burst between his passive, the Justice Punch, and his Winds of War. For now, still fairly even. 700 gold lead for the side of Yordlez, but it's not a sizable lead. Pretty even, and we're not seeing any major item discrepancies either here. Nowitzki yet to back, and that's what the advantage of the Nunu is, that he can safely clear for quite a while in his jungle. Doesn't have to constantly run around and have to go back to base to heal up. So we'll finally go back to base with quite a lot of money. We'll have the components there for his Cinderhulk. Not gonna build any boots. He doesn't need any more mobility. The snowball good enough for him for now to get around the map. And as we say that, Chaotic Obsidian, his counterpart, is going to be starting up the first Drake for his team here. Glacial Omen had an absolute stranglehold on the major neutral objectives in game 1. It looks like he wants to continue that here in game 2. Gonna go quite low, but does have Willowhaven helping him there as well. So that is going to be Cloud Drake going the way here of Glacial Omen, and Nowitzki just a little too late to really try and get it there. Will just stare sadly at the remains of what was the first Drake and back right off. Nowitzki looking for another gank in the bot lane. Was actually en route there with a snowball when he stopped to check the Drake after seeing it was gone. Will not be able to find a gank in that bot lane, and they do have a very strong defensive ward here. Very deep defensive ward near the blue buff. Nowitzki gonna spot it out just at the edge of his Scryer's bloom, but will not be able. Oh, sorry, his Scryer trinket, I mean, but will not be able to finish it off in time. So he's gonna know that they have vision there, and because they spotted him, Chaotic gonna take the opportunity here to invade on the top side, take the Krugs, and potentially set up a dive onto Mr. Surux. But they have to be careful. That's a Mundo. He's already hit level 6, has the ultimate available. There's no healing cut at all on the side of Glacial Omen. So if they dive this, they have to be careful that they don't get baited into dying. Again, a rather slow-paced game from these two. We thought that it would be faster paced based on game 1, but it looks like the Silver Division as a whole this week content to play it carefully, play it safe, and that's not a bad idea. Now Chaotic Obsidian going once more to that top lane onto Mr. Surux. He burnt the flash to survive there, but it was much needed. His teleport also down. He used it to get back into lane, so we will not have it available for the next roughly 5 or 6 minutes here. But the dragon is not going to be up. The next major objective is going to be that herald, so he will be able to be in the area if that's the case. And as if on clockwork, Chaotic Obsidian is in the area, is going to start that up. Like we said, Glacial Omen, they want full control on these objectives here. But the pings come down. Nowitzki is going to bring in a snowball for himself. Will not be able to quite drift the corner there, but will be able to chase Obsidian off. The Absolute Zero coming down. Ishan gonna have to flash himself out to safety to make sure he doesn't get caught there, but Suruk's just gonna run them down. Did use the Mundo ultimate, so will remain completely healthy, full health here, and that means that Yordlez will be able to go for this Herald now for themselves. And despite the importance that Glacial Omen puts on these neutral map objectives, it's going to be very difficult for them to take it if Nowitzki's in the area. Between the Consume and the Smite, he can put out a lot of true damage on these objectives here. So it'll be extremely, extremely difficult. Right now his the damage coming out of the Consume to minions is about 660 true damage added onto his Smite as well, which right now hits for roughly 510 true damage. He's over 1,000 already true damage wise, and so Chaotic Obsidian will have a really rough time trying to steal objectives from Nowitzki. Bot lane, they've just both been farming it up quite a bit thus far, and that goes in favor of Odd Lanner. The side of Yordlez often picking compositions which go well into the late game. The later it goes, the tankier Mundo gets, the harder he gets to kill. Ezreal too, very strong late game champion, but this time Glacial Omen have themselves a backup plan in the form of Ishan, the Cassiopeia. Late game would probably output even more damage than the Ezreal, so definitely not afraid to let the game go long here. And King Tyrus and Willowhaven would be more than happy if they could pick up more kills. We saw Willowhaven setting up a ton of kills last game, but this game struggling a little bit more to try and find those picks with the Black Shield from Morgana, with the Arcane Shift on Odd Lanner. They have a much safer laning pace for themselves. You don't want to let them snowball too early. And speaking of snowballs, the biggest snowball ever arrives into the top lane with Mr. Surux there engaging Naga. Naga just gonna get destroyed there in the 2v1. And Nowitzki doing work, 100% kill participation. He is where the action is right now. Looks like they're gonna drop Shelly into that top lane. They got the kill, and they're now gonna get the turret, returning the favor from last game when Chaotic Obsidian and Naga did the exact same thing. And this should be first turret for the side of Rawr. Yordlez here will be a lot of gold. Having a bit of problems just shredding it here this early into the game. And Glacial Omen making a really good adaptation as they instantly rotate down towards that Drake. Winter gonna get burned down there. He tried to stop it with the Soul Shackles. Will not be sufficient. Did not have a stopwatch available just yet. And that's going to be the second Drake. Infernal going the way of Glacial Omen. A much more balanced game this time around here between the two teams. We're not seeing any one particular team come out of the gates stomping. And now a good anchor toss on to Nowitzki here. He tries to use the absolute zero. Does get some of the damage up, but I don't think that was fully charged. And they're just going to get melted. Duero going to follow shortly after as well. And Ishan starting to come online here, picking up 2 kills for himself. He's going to be sitting on a hefty chunk of gold, 1,700 gold effectively when he gets back to base. Should allow him to pick himself up the tier item, the Archangel's staff for himself real early if he wants it. Will allow him to scale well. And the shoe's really on the other foot. Last game we saw Ishan on the Galio against a late scaling Vigar on Duero. This time we're seeing the opposite. It's Duero on the Galio here against a hyper scaling Cassiopeia, on Ishan. So it really is up to Duero to make sure he can sort of keep himself in the game here. Now Chaotic Obsidian being run down by Mr. Sarux. The cleavers are landing on the briefcases. In this case, the flashes come up from both sides. And it's going to be the burn. One last auto from Mr. Sarux to finish off Chaotic Obsidian. And really, this game is a mirror image of the first one, where we've now got Mr. Sarux being the monster split pusher on his own here. And Ishan being the late game insurance for his team that has the skill as fast as he can. Nowitzki not content to just let people do their own thing in their lanes. Looking for another gank in the bot lane here. We have the True Shot barrage coming, but a great shield from Naga to negate most of the damage from that True Shot barrage. And there's really much ado about nothing in the bot lane there with both sides just walking off gentleman's agreement. Chaotic coming back to the top lane for round 2, but again, no healing cut item against Amundo. It's going to be very, very difficult here to take Mr. Sarux down, and that's why they sent Ishan up for the shred and the damage. He is grounded right now, has no flash anyways, and now the Cataclysm will lock him into place. Ishan going to get his 3rd kill, and it's going to be a shutdown, an additional 150 gold for himself. It's going to be real nice. And he will be now 3-0-1. The bulk of his team's kills and damage mid lane. We saw Winter getting locked up a little bit by Willowhaven under turret. Did take a couple of turret shots, but flashed himself to safety. Will be fine here. And those anchors are getting real intimidating from Willowhaven. Whenever he lands one, it feels like they managed to get quite a bit of damage down on his targets. Winter replying with the Dark Bindings, but somehow just not as much of a punch. That shield from Willowhaven negating a lot of the damage here. Now King Tyrus looking to try and fight Oddlander. Oddlander not wanting any piece of this yet. Does not have a fully stacked tier item. Just has the Sheen right now for himself. We look over to King Tyrus. The Manamune already complete and stacking, so has a bit more damage coming out the side of King Tyrus right now in these fights. And now Nowitzki once more looking. Those snowballs just omnipresent right now all over the map. Absolute Zero coming down on Naga. Beautiful taunt to keep him there, but they pulled him out. They did manage to get the Absolute Zero right before Naga got dragged out of range by the Showstopper. Duero not going to be able to get out as we see the flag and drag from Chaotic Obsidian. And Ishan arriving late to the party will not have any scraps to pick up here. And it's going to be a 1-for-1 trade here, so very, very even. Both teams happy to let the scaling continue here. Dragon will be coming up in a minute, and if Glacial Omen manage to get it, that will be soul point for them, putting quite a bit of pressure here on the side of Rawr Rawr Yordlez, pardon me. And on the flip side though, if they let Yordlez stack up those Mountain Drakes, they're going to have one hell of a time trying to take down Duero and Mr. Sarux and Nowitzki. A lot of tankiness here on the side of Yordlez this game. If ever there was a time for a mountain map, this is it. King Tyrus and Willowhaven looking to even up the turret score here. Pick up the first turret of the game for their team. And with that, both teams really tied up here. 1 turret apiece, 6 kills apiece, and perfectly even in gold. Ishan and Chaotic Obsidian looking to change that up as Mr. Sarux getting caught once more. Cataclysm once again locking down. Still does not have the flash available. And Duero has yet to use the heroic entrance here effectively. did not use it in that fight here, and now will be caught out by Willowhaven with an anchor toss. Naga in the area as well. A good taunt to slow and stop the engage. While the rest of his team now going for that Mountain Drake, going to try and pick that one up for themselves. Stop the soul stacking for a little bit, get themselves a bit more resistance. And now True Shot Barrage coming across. Willowhaven taking a ton of damage here, and Nowitzki able to secure a beautiful stopwatch there from Winter to keep himself alive after putting the soul shackles down. Now King Tyrus running for the hills. The slow has been applied from Nowitzki, and that's going to be a kill going the way of Duero, and that's a 3-for-0 and Dragon. Well played from Rawr Yordlez as they finally break the stalemate here and put themselves in the driver's seat. Ishan in the bot lane does not have his teleport available here, so this should be a free mid outer turret for the side of Rawr Yordlez, and they desperately need that goal, need Odd Ladder to come online. Still, the Sheen and the tier still not quite fully stacked yet. They have to be careful because Chaotic's coming in looking for Winter. The exhaust is here. A point blank dark binding will be enough. No, because the red buff will tick down and kill Winter there in the mid lane. They just overstayed their welcome just a little bit because Outlander wanted that CS. Now we do see Rift Herald coming down, showing. And the heroic entrance manages to just barely catch Willowhaven, but they have to be careful because Ishan is here. The fight has re-engaged. Chaotic Obsidian running away because he's low on health. And looks like nobody's going to go down and sit top lane. Mr. Sarux goes down to Naga as he eats the full true damage from the Naga's punch there, the shield keeping him healthy. So that's Mr. Sarux going down, despite the mid lane being where the bulk of the action and initiation was happening. Once again, even in kills, one turret advantage to Rawr Yordlez, and really that's the only goal discrepancy pretty much just off the turrets there. They're very, very even otherwise. And if we look at the items here, top lane, we have the Sunfire Cape built, the Bramble Vest for Mr. Sarux. He's really building to try and counter Naga, who's got the Blade of the Ruin King built for himself, as well as the Merc Treads. Wants to make sure he will not get perma CC'd in these fights. In the jungle, much more even here with the Cinder Hulks for both Chaotic Obsidian and Nowitzki, both going tank. The Black Cleaver completed on the side of Chaotic Obsidian, and Nowitzki finishing his Spirit Visage as well. So extremely, extremely even. Mid lane, the Rylai's Crystal Scepter already built here for Ishan, so we'll be able to slow people down, keep on them, stick on them in these fights. Has the Seraph's Embrace stacking there, the Archangel's Staff not quite fully stacked, but getting well on its way there. And you look over at Duero, he's only got the Proto Belt built for himself, has not managed to complete his Zonias quite yet. And when we look at the ADCs here, Manamune completed for King Tyrus, not yet for Oddlander, but Oddlander instead going with the Frostborn first. So fairly even there as well in terms of the damage they can put out. Chaotic Obsidian has to be careful. Nowitzki seems to be winning the 1v1 trade here. Naga showing up to help, but Mrs. Sarux on the wings as well. True Shot Barrage coming out. The Showstopper will not be enough to get Naga to safety because Duero and Winter collapsing in from the other side. They will be able to pick Chaotic Obsidian up as well, and that's a 2-for-0 as all 5 of the side of Rawr Yordlez collapses in. Ishan once again on the other side of the map with no teleport available, cannot join in, and this might be the inner mid turret going down in favor of Rawr Yordlez. This was how they got the mid-outer. They get the mid-inner the exact same way, and it looks like they might just fall straight back onto Baron here. We take a look at the vision. The side of Glacial Omen really don't have much vision on Baron at all. The middle of the map completely dark for them. On the side of Rawr Yordlez, they do have the approaches warded. They can see Willowhaven hesitating. They know they've got time, and they're going to try and burn this down as fast as they can. It's down to 5,000, 4,000, 3,000. Willowhaven about to show up 2,000. They're going down towards 1,000, and Willowhaven getting caught here by Winter and Duero. They will pick up Baron. Congratulations to Rawr Yordlez for getting that, and they will pick up Willowhaven as another prize as well, a runner-up prize for themselves. And while they were struggling to find leads, they've found it right here. They've got Baron, and they can look to push with that buff now. Nowitzki just taking a bit of damage here from Ishan, but he's so tanky with the Spirit Visage, with the Merc Treads and Cinderhulk. He can shrug off a lot of the damage coming out of Ishan for now, and if the tanks start to build their Adaptive Helm, Ishan might be late game insurance, but even late game insurance has issues when they're itemized against. Now both teams looking over to the Drake once more here. Not the most important thing because the game looks like it might not go to Soul, but Rawr Yordlez not wanting to give the option of that over. You want to play it a bit safe, a bit more careful here. Willowhaven gonna get another Dark Binding to the face, but the shield gonna keep him nice and healthy. Not gonna really take any damage to his health here. Yordlez will be more than happy to pick this up. They want more and more tanky stats, especially against the Kaisa and the Cassiopeia here. And now Nowitzki going in the absolute zero coming across. Flag and drag misses, and that means he's going to eat a ton of damage. Dark Binding going to be what finishes him. But the Showstopper going to grab Duero into the backline. Mr. Saruk's charging into the other side. And it's going to be a double kill for Duero as Naga gets shredded when he runs in alone into the backline. The Showstopper not enough. Mr. Saruk's can't find Tyrus here alone. The last auto will be sufficient. That's a 4-4-0 here. Well played from Rawr Yordlez, and Ishan once again not able to find his way into the fight. He is the most fed player on the side of Glacial Omen, but if he's not able to get into these fights, it doesn't matter how much gold he has for his team right now. 7,800, actually just short a little bit from Chaotic Obsidian, who has about 30 gold more than him. And with this, Saruk's going to be able to pick himself up the inhibitor turret in the mid lane by himself, while the rest of his team going to just keep on pushing in the bot wave here. They still do have the Baron buff, and now Willowhaven going to get targeted here. Chaotic Obsidian looking for the flag and drag will get stopped, it looked like, by a Justice Punch. The True Shot Barrage coming across. Willowhaven just barely getting out, and Ishan has finally arrived, looking to try and dissuade them. Mr. Saruk's going to go for that top lane turret. We'll be able to take it down, and he's healing up right now with his ultimate. There's no healing cut on Naga at all, so he's going to be able to heal himself back to full health after tanking quite a bit of abuse from Naga and the Blade of the Ring King. But Winter now getting caught out here. He wanted to get that mid lane inhibitor, but he's the support. Will have to flash himself to safety instead. Duero and Mr. Saruk's happy to dive this start in the top lane. They're two tanky members, but Duero might have bitten off a bit more than he can chew. He's got a lot of magic, he's got health, but not enough armor to really tank this. And now Mr. Saruk's getting collapsed on by 3, will go down, not able to take that inhibitor turret down. Instead, the coalition of forces in that bot lane there, On-Laner, Nowitzki able to take themselves out the inner turret. So that's all the inner turrets down for the side of Glacial Omen right now. This is exactly the curse of the Baron we were talking about here in Silver. They get the Baron and they push just a little bit too hard, overextend just a little bit, and suddenly the opposing team gets a chance, a glimpse of a hope to get back into the game. They are still down 6,000 gold at this point from the side of Glacial Omen, so by no means are they leading the game here, but at least this buys them time. And the other good news is none of their inhibitors went down despite all of that. They lost all the turrets outside their base, but they didn't lose a single inhibitor. Excuse me. And they will look to continue shoving here on the side of Rawr Yordlez. They cannot afford to take their foot off the gas here, or it will give Glacial Omen a chance to get back into the game. And judging by the way the Yordlez have played thus far, I don't think they are going to let off the gas. They've been playing very aggressively. They're the ones making the moves here. Nowitzki just zipping around, drifting all over the map here has been absolutely massive. And he's going to do it again here. Unfortunately, his snowball going to get stopped by the inhibitor, and they have to be careful. Not the entire team is here. On-Laner was a little delayed, has arrived. Will be able to take that inhibitor down now for themselves. And the question now is top or bottom. Both have the inhibitor turret standing. There's no real other objectives on the map. Baron not going to be up for another minute. Dragon not up for 2. So they've really only got the option of sieging, and they've got a pretty decent siege composition here. They have the Dark Bindings from Morgana. They have the Mystic Shots from Ezreal there to keep poking. Nowitzki though going to dive under that turret to try and get the absolute zero off. Beautiful heroic entrance. The damage instantly pops King Tyrus. It's just a little bit too close there. Will get melted. And we see Naga going down as well as Willowhaven here. Ishan managing to pick up Winter in the midst of all of that. But now going to get burned down. That's going to be the first death and a shutdown going the way of Duero. Not a huge bounty though, despite the 5-0 scoreline, because has been sort of oppressed a little bit, and the gold gap has closed somewhat. And now Ishan finally picking himself up a Morelos. It was sorely needed against Mr. Sarux because he tanked a ton of damage there, and he's just going to go straight for these Nexus turrets. His team a bit undecided as to where they want to go, waiting for the minions to come in. Will finally crack that top inhibitor turret as well, and Mr. Sarux is going to be a little greedy, go for this inhibitor here, but Chaotic Obsidian has arrived, as has King Tyrus. His team has backed off, leaving him high and dry if he sticks around much longer. Now the Baron has spawned. It is an option on the table. The Mountain Drake will be spawning in about 30 seconds, and just the 2 stacks of Mountain Drake alone that they've had so far for the Rawr Yordles has been absolutely mountainous for them. Mr. Sarux and Nowitzki able to just tank for days here, and Duero giving him quite a bit of tankiness as well, considering he's building pretty much straight AP here on the mid lane Galio. Nowitzki going to bring his snowball down to that bot side, so it looks like they're going to prioritize the dragon, but there are 2 pink wards here from Glacial Omen, not content with just being able to see things. They wanted to doubly make sure that, and they're going to trade this. They just rushed straight over to Baron, and if you look at the vision here, Yordles has no vision of the Baron pit at all. It's all been cleared out, so they know, they suspect the trinket coming down will grant a bit of vision, but it's already gone. Well played from Glacial Omen. They saw a chance to try and make a comeback, and they took it. They traded a Mountain Drake for Baron, and that's going to be worth every single time. That being said, Rawr Yordles is going to pick themselves up their 3rd Mountain Drake, and between all 3 stacks here, that's going to be 18% magic resistance and armor for themselves. So starting to add up and become a significant amount for them. Naga going to chase after Winter, uses the Blade of the Ruin King for the slow, does get it through before Black Shield comes out, but doesn't want to overstep here. Didn't have full vision of where Rawr Yordles were across the map. They do now, as Yordles just hovering on the outside of the base, looking for where they can sort of find an opening and close in here. They do have an exposed inhibitor in that top lane. They do have supers pushing in the mid lane as well. So it's really a question of where they want to go. And All-Land are going to continue split pushing that bot lane, but he has to be careful. He is the ADC. He has a lot of damage, and he does not have a teleport to join his team. Only got the True Shot Barrage to fire across from the bot side. Winter has to be careful as well. He's been isolated from the rest of his team in the top side. Chaotic Obsidian chasing him down there. Go back out. And it's a bit of a, I think Yordle's a bit not unsure as to where they want to go with this, whether it's a 1-4 or 1-3-1 or whether the full 5. All-Lander finally joining the rest of his team here, but that bot lane turret's actually really, really low, and they could potentially just look to brute force this. And Mr. Sarux is really going to brute force this. He just walks in, not a minion in sight. He's going to tank it for All-Lander. Heroic Entrance comes in as they try and stop the engagement. Beautiful Petrifying Gaze will catch Winter. Winter going to use the Zonius to keep himself alive for 1 more second. Will still go down to King Tyrus there. Nowitzki was tanking for quite a while, but he doesn't have any way of peeling people up, and he too will go down in the midst of 5 between Ishan and King Tyrus, just applying the constant damage there onto him, sustained damage. Even the Gargoyle Stone Plate not enough, and it will go on cooldown. And Yordle seems to be stalling out a little bit right now, having problems closing this game out. Chaotic Obsidian going to purchase himself an Adaptive Helm, so interesting choice that he's the first person in the game to pick it up, even though the Casio... Oh, sorry, he's not the first, because Naga picked it up as well, but it looks like they're just trying to stop maybe Mr. Sarux's Cleavers or maybe Winter's Dark Pool. I'm not really sure. Winds of War. There's a lot of tick damage on the side of Rawr Rampage, so let's see how that goes. And Mr. Shark is going to pick himself up the Warmog, so he's got the Warmogs, the Spirit Visage completed for himself as well. Looks like he's going for a Thornmill potentially, so he's not going to be that magic damage tank. Looks like he's going a bit more for the attack damage right now to try and deal with King Tyrus with Naga. And the gold lead sort of stagnated here at about a 5,000, 6,000 gold. And at 30 minutes into the game, that significance is now a lot less than it was back at the 20-25 minute mark. And Yordle struggling a little bit, it looks like, in these team fights. And we did talk about this in the pick and ban phase a little bit, about how their composition doesn't really work all that well together. Like, individually, the components are strong, but when you put them all into a team fight, Glacial Omen has the edge. They have a very clear idea of how they want to play it. Like a standard front to back composition. You've got Naga to show stop any tank running into your backline, getting chaos into the backlines of your enemies there. Chaotic Obsidian on the J4 will be able to try then initiate the Cataclysm to save your carries there. Ishan and King Tyrush just standing in the back, outputting damage, trusting their tanks. Chaotic Obsidian looking for the engage, but the flag and drag brings him face to face with a binding from Winter, and that will stop any aggression. And it looks like both teams just waiting to play out, waiting for that Drake to respawn again. They want to fight around major objectives. Yordle struggling to push in, and the side of Glacial Omen happy to let minions push into their base so that they can just farm them up. And in about 40 seconds time, that's Mountain Drake's coming up, and that could be a Mountain Soul for the side of Rawr Yordles if they get it, and that will be absolutely massive for them, making them that much tankier, that much more unkillable. And on the side of Yordles, like I said, they kind of need the fight on open ground. They are struggling to push into the enemy base. They've managed to break all the inhibitor turrets, so it's really just trying to fight in the base that close to the spawn point where Glacial Omen can just recall and get back to lane's an issue. But now Nowitzki potentially getting caught out here. He's going to try and use the Absolute Zero as a last resort, but it will be interrupted right away. A beautiful heroic entrance will catch 3 there, and Ishan going to get melted in the backline. Those tanks are so tanky. It's incredible right now. Soul Shackles comes across, will catch Willowhaven. He's going to go down. Showstopper onto Duero once again, but that's not the target you want. And now Outlander able to just free fire from the back. Will be able to take Naga down, and King Tyrush is fighting Mr. Sarux. Mr. Sarux just able to take him down. He hasn't even completed Thornmill yet, but did not need it. Chaotic Obsidian now, last man standing, but not for long, as he goes down for a double kill for Odd Ladder, and this is exactly what Rawr Yordles needed. At 33 minutes, the death time is significant, about 40-50 seconds here. They will be able to push into the base, get the inhibitors, get the Nexus turrets. Duero going to use his teleport along with Mr. Sarux ahead of the team. Nowitzki just going to go and pick themselves up the soul, and instead of ending, it looks like they're just going to go for the inhibitors. They're going to play this careful, pick themselves up the soul, get the double super minions, maybe even fall back and pick the Baron up. They are now going in. Willowhaven just trying to defend the turret there. Will not be able to do so. And now Ishan barely flashing out, but it will not be enough. Petrifying Gaze will not stop something with the Black Shield on it. Now Mr. Sarux tanking up the turret, has to be careful. It's taking quite a bit of damage, and they finally do have some healing cut for themselves. So he will not be able to heal up, but the Absolute Zero comes out. Outlander godlike as he takes Chaotic Obsidian down, and now Naga trying to showstop his way, but showstops his way back to the fountain instead. That's a triple kill here for Outlander. He is legendary. And Rawr Yordles finally managing to close the game out. 34-36 going to be the final time here of this game. 14-30 the scoreline here. Well played from Rawr Yordles, and they've evened up the series, and we're going to get ourselves a game 3 here, ladies and gents. And Outlander, Undying, Immortal, 9-0-14 this game. The ADCs from both teams playing exceptionally here in both games. And if you're on the side of Glacial Omen, I mean, it's kind of hard to ban out the side of Rawr Yordles. What do you ban? I mean, yes, Nunu was an absolute menace in the early game, but late game he really kind of fell off in terms of impact other than securing objectives. Do you ban out the Dr. Mundo for Mr. Sarux there in the top lane? He was really, really tanky, but by himself wouldn't have been able to do enough. Outlander's Ezreal comes to mind as a possibility here, because he did amazingly well. 9-0-14, legendary, 700 gold bounty for himself, just consistently outputting damage in these fights. But then again, it's not like he was the highest damage necessarily. Like if you had put him on something like a Jinx, he probably could have shredded and done even more damage. And it's not like this is a team composition that has a linchpin anywhere. There's no real one piece of this that absolutely needs to be banned. And while not having a composition can be a weakness, it can also be a strength. Because if you can win without a composition, there's really nothing you can do in picks and bans against it. And if you look on the side of Glacial Omens, I think their picks were pretty solid picks here with the sort of standard orthodox fight style that they wanted in team fights. Just never really got to do it. Winter doing great, stopping a lot of those initiates with the dark bindings there. The only thing maybe is put Ishan on something a little bit more mobile so he doesn't get completely bursted down, perhaps. And we'll have to see going into Game 3 what adaptations both these teams make here, because frankly, when it comes to Game 3, teams throw everything out the window sometimes, and I honestly wouldn't mind that because it'd be hella interesting. And with that, we are going to head out now to a quick intermission break while we set up for Game 3. So see you guys all in a couple minutes.